Hello, you are most welcome. Yeah, it's Henry the computer guy, and in this video, we are going to be working out UNEB subsidiary ICT 2013 paper 2 that our main focus is going to be on a presentation. So without wasting any time, let's dive into the real practice and see how we can work this out. So what I've done first is to create the question that we are going to be following in the entire session. So it is just down here. Let me open it and we read through. So they're telling us that in a learner-centered approach, a teacher uses some learners to pass on knowledge to their fellow learners. It makes learning fun as learners get to learn from one another. Senior 6 learners can pass on knowledge to Senior 2 learners and vice versa. So they are telling us that we are supposed to study the information and perform the tasks below. And the entire question was all about the categories of computer devices. They went ahead and summarized them down here. For example, we have the input, the processing, the output, and lastly, we have the storage. They also gave us a conclusion down here. Then they went ahead and gave us the tasks that as a Senior 6 subsidiary ICT student, prepare a 4-slide presentation for Senior 2 learners summarizing the information given above. So before we do anything, we are going to be first of all creating a folder that will hold our presentation. So what I'll do first is to minimize my question. I'll go to the desktop, identify any free space, right click onto my mouse, then I'll select the option that says new, then I'll be clicking onto my folder. And having clicked on the folder, I have to give it a name. For example, I'm working on UNEB, so I'm going to be calling it UNEB 2013, and it's specifically paper 2. So you can always be able to move this folder to any location of your choice. So let's leave it there. So let's come back to our question and see what they are telling us to do. So the part B is saying that save the presentation with your name. So what we are going to do is to first of all open our presentation, then we save it with our name. So for my case, I've already pinned it down here to my taskbar. So what I'm going to do is to click on it and give it time to load. And having done that, by default, it will open for us like this. So it will give us the name up here as presentation 1. So when we give it a name, our name will appear at the top here. So how are we going to do that? We're going to come to the option that says File, then click on the option that says Save. And having clicked on that, they're going to ask us for the location where we can save our presentation. And remember, we had created a folder onto our desktop. So we are going to be selecting the desktop. And after selecting the desktop, we are going to be passing through all the information we have there such that we can locate the folder we created, which was UNEB 2013 paper 2. And after selecting it, click on the option that says open. And up here, they will show you that you're on the desktop under the folder called UNEB 2013 paper 2. So finally, we have to give it a name. So for my case, I'm going to be calling it Henry the computer, Henry the computer guy. And having given it a name, I'm going to be clicking on the option that says save. So after saving, the name will appear up here at the title bar. So now we are good to go. Let's go back to our question and read through. So the question is telling us that we have the categories of computers. So what I'm going to do is to copy this information from this question such that we do not make the video too long as we are typing. So let me copy the first title here. So I'll command, copy this one, click on Ctrl C onto my keyboard. Then I'll come to my presentation. I click where they have told me to click and add title. Then I'll say Ctrl V onto my keyboard. So at this moment, the word is underlined, but if at all you want the word to be underlined, you're going to highlight it, then come and remove the underlining. So this is what we are having at the beginning, but it's going to be presented by me. So I can come and say presented. I can come and say presented by, let's say I go down, I type Henry. Henry the computer. Henry the computer guy. So this is what I'm having for this time. So let's go back to the question and see what we are supposed to get. So remember, we are supposed to summarize the whole of this information on 4 slides. So when we put this information, I think the slides are going to be exceeding 4. So we have to budget our slides by actually summarizing that information that we have so that they can fit onto the 4 slides they want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come and copy this information again. So I'll copy the title here, then I'll click Control C, then I'll come back to my presentation. Remember, we need to put or insert another new slide. So when I come to the home tab here, I'll come and select the option that says new slide. They're going to give me a variety of slides here. So I'm going to choose the type of slide I want to use. So when I look at this is the title slide. It's the one that we have used in the beginning. So this is title and content. That means that when we put only this title and content, the slides will exceed the number they want. So for my case, what I'm going to choose is the comparison, such that we can put two categories on only one slide. So I'm going to be selecting this one. And after selecting it, I'll come and paste my title I've copied from the question by pressing Ctrl V. And after doing that, I'll have to put here one, then I'll also put another one here, such that we can reduce on the number of slides we are going to be using. Let me come back and copy something from our information. So I'm not going to copy this. I'm just going to copy these ones they have given an explanation on. So I'm going to be dealing first of all with the input. Let me copy this. I'll come to my presentation. I put it as the title here. Then I can decide to even put it in the center for it to be visible. So I'll come back. I pick this information again, Control C, then I'll come and paste it to my presentation. Control V, then just like that. So I'll come and copy the information to this other side. So let me come on to the output, devices, then I'll come to my presentation. I paste it as the title. I can even decide to put it in the center. I'll come back, copy the information that is given there, Control C, then I'll come to my presentation, I Control V. So we are now done with 2 of these categories. We have the input. These are any hardware components used to enter data into the computer. And we have these ones that are used to display or convey the processed data, which are the output devices. We can now insert another slide for the rest of the information. So we are going to come back to our home tab. We come to the option that says new slide. Then we pick another slide as the comparison. So I'll click on it again. Remember, we are still on the computer devices are subdivided into 4. So I'm going to copy the same heading or title by pressing Ctrl C. Then I'll also put it onto this one. Control V, just like that. So we can put other categories. For example, we have the processing. So I'm going to copy this one by highlighting, pressing Control C, then I'll come and paste it here. By pressing Control V, I can put it in the center also. I can come back, copy this one also, copy, Control C, then I'll paste this information, Control V. So I'll come and copy the last one, which is the storage devices, Control C, Control V for pasting, put it in the center. Then I'll come and copy this information they wrote there, Control C, then again, this is going to be Control V for pasting. So we can as well decide to reduce this information a little because we need some spaces where we are going to be inserting some images there. So we have to reserve some space for the images. So let's come to the conclusion also. We copy this one, Control C, then we come to our presentation. That means that we need a new slide. So we have 1, 2, 3. So we need only another slide. and we make it to the 4 slides they told us. So I'll come to the option that says new slide, then I'll be selecting this slide. So I'm going to click under the title, I'll press Ctrl V, then I'll come and remove this. Then I come and copy the conclusion. Ctrl C again, then we come here, Ctrl V for pasting. So this is now the information we have for a moment. So we can go back to the first slide and read through. So we have the categories, then presented by Henry, the computer guy. We have the 2 categories, input and output. We have the remaining 2 categories, the processing and the storage. Then finally, we have our conclusion. So let's read through the question and see what they want us to work with now. What we are going to do is to scroll through our question and go to the next question. The question is telling us that insert a header as your name and personal number. So I'm going to put my name, then I put any number of my choice. But for your case, you have to put your personal number you always use in the exams. So what I'm going to do is to come back to my presentation. I'll come and insert my header. So there are 2 formats we can use to insert the header into our presentation. For example, when I come to the option that says insert, I can come here and select the header or footer section by clicking onto it. And having clicked on it, it will ask you what exactly you want to do. So you will come to the option for the notes and handouts. That means that it's where we have our header. So I can come and say, check this one. Then I can type my name. Let's say I'm going to be putting Henry. I can even say 0701 as my personal number. And I can apply this to all. But remember, when you use this option, the header is not going to be visible onto all these slides unless when you always have to go to the view, then come to the notes and master. That's when you can always be able to view your header. We can also use another way to insert that header. For example, when I come to the view option, I can come to the master slide and use that option. So let's click there. And having clicked on my master, I'm going to be selecting the first slide. Then I'll come and go to the insert section. I come and click on my option that says text box. So I can draw that text box onto my slide and I put my name or index number. It depends on exactly what they want you to put there. So I can say Henry. Let's say I put 0701. Can even decide to put it in the center, just like that. I can even make it bold. So you're going to find out that it will be displayed on all these slides that you're having. We can go back and see. For example, when we come here on the slide master, we can close it just like that. So you're seeing that my header is appearing onto this. When we come here, it is also there. When we come here, it is also there. When we come here, it is also there. So that is how you can exactly be able to add your header, either using the notes or using the slide master. So we can continue with our question. Let's read through. And they're telling us that change the background of all the slide titles an appropriate style. So we're going to be picking an appropriate style for our slide titles. Let's come back to our presentation. So when we come here, this is our title. We can come and choose a style. For example, by clicking on quick style. When I click here, there are different styles we can use here, but for my case, I'm going to be selecting this one, just like that. So we have given this title a style. We come back to the second. We click there, then we come to the quick style again. I'm going to choose the same, just like that. I can even push it a little down here for my header to be visible, just like that. So we come to slide 3. We click onto the title again. We come to the quick styles. I'm going to be selecting the same, just like that. So we can also pull this one a little for our header to be visible. Then we come to the last one. click on the conclusion, come to the quick styles, then you can select the style that you want. We can as well push it a little bit down, just like this, then just like that. So that is it that we have for now. Let's go back to the first slide. Let's read through our question again. So they're telling us that set the slide transition of your choice with a transition time of 6 seconds. That means that we are going to do this for all our slides. We come back to our presentation. So what we are going to do is to go to the option that says transitions. We want to choose a transition for our presentation. Let me come and see. We have many of them here, but for my case, I'm going to be choosing the cube. And when I choose the cube, so it will just be appearing onto the first slide. But remember, I want to apply it to all my slides. So what I'm going to do is to click on the option that says apply all. But before I do that, I'll have to give it the timing. Remember, they have told me to put 6 seconds, so I'll come and reduce this one to 6 seconds. I'll wrap this and put 6 seconds. So having done that, I can now say apply to all. So when I say apply to all these ones are going to be having that effect at the same time. So let's go back to our question. So let's scroll a little bit down and see what next. So they're telling us that set animation of your choice for all slide titles and other parts of the slide. So we are going to choose any animation of our choice. Let's go back to our presentation. And when we come back to our presentation here, remember for you to be able to apply any animation, you first have to select an item there. So for my case, I'm going to be clicking onto my title. So I'll come and click on the option that says animation. And having clicked on it, there are many varieties of animation we can use here. For example, we have the interest, we have the emphasis, we also have the exit. Then motion parts are also here. So it will depend on exactly what you want to use. So for my case, I'm going to be using the fly in. Let me try the fly in. I'll use the fly in. I'll also come to this. I give it a fly in. Or let me just use the float. Let me just use the float. Just put this, then I'll command choose this one to a float. Then I'll come to slide 2. I'll come and select my title. I'll give it a float in. Then I'll come onto this information. I can give it a float in. Then even my data, a float in. I'll come to this other side. I'll give it a float in. So let me do this faster. A float in. We go to slide 3. I choose my title, float in. My title, again, subtitle, I'll float in. Then this one, give it a float in. I'll also repeat that for the rest of the other side. Click there, then float in. We can come to the last slide. I'll click here, I'll give it a float in. I'll also click here, then I'll float in. So you can as well try to play and see how it will move through your presentation. So let me come back to the question and see what they want again. So they're telling us that make use of the speaker notes and relevant graphics. So they want us to use the notes area or the speaker notes, and we also put in some images to make our presentation look nice. So what I'm going to do is to go back to my presentation and I'll come and use the speaker notes. For example, I'm going to use the speaker notes on only the first slide. For example, if I wanted to define something here or write anything about my slide here, the notes area or notes or speaker notes is going to be found just below your slide. So I'll come down here, then I can be able to put anything that I want to put there. For example, let me put something here. Computer hardware, computer hardware devices, let's say can be divided into four categories. Let's say I can put us some space, then I can say IE. We can have the input, comma, the processing, comma, the storage, and I can say lastly the output. So I can just end there. That means that on every slide, you can always be able to add your speaker notes or your speaker notes for personal reference. So these are always notes for personal reference. You go to another slide, you can always come and add. You go to another slide, you can always come and add. So for my case, I've only done that one on the first slide. So the next thing we are going to do is to put in some images or relevant graphics. So that means that we need the images. So for my case, I downloaded some of the images I'm going to be using. But for your case, if you can get the images, you can always be able to use the clip arts. By coming to the option that says insert, then you can come to the option that says clip art. And when you come and click on the clip art, you can always come and type here any thing that you want to look for. For example, I can put computers because the question is related to computer devices, and I click on go. They will be able to give me some of the images just here. So you drag one, you drop it to any location of your choice. So I can come and get any, then I can always be able to drag it and drop it anywhere. For example, I can get this. I drag this, I drop it just up here. So that is one image I've inserted. So remember, I already downloaded my images and I think I can also use some of them. So I can say pictures, then I can go to my desktop where I already saved them, then I can be able to get some images there. For example, I'll put that one onto the second slide. Let me just leave it onto the second slide. So I'll put this one in the middle. I can make it a little bit small, just like that. Then I can be able to go to slide 2. I put some images I've already downloaded. By clicking onto the option that says pictures, then I'll be able to locate my desktop. Then I'll look for images. And when I look for images, I'll open it. And having opened it, I can be able to choose any images that I want. For example, I want to begin with the input. So I'll come and select only those ones that are input. So I can click on the webcam here, press Control, look for another one. For example, I can go through, I can select this one, Control, I click on this one, then I can choose any other. For example, I can take any other. Let me say I want to get the keyboard because it is also input. Then I can say insert, insert. So these images will be brought into my work. So I can click aside, then I can move them to wherever I feel I want. Let me just put this one down here. Then I can come and make this one smaller. Then I also put it here. I make this one also smaller by changing the size just like that. So I think we have now the 3 images we wanted. So that is it for the input devices because we use them to enter information or data into your computer. So we come back and look for output devices. For the output devices, again, I'm going to choose my insert option. Then I'll come to my pictures. Let me look for only those that are output. I'll select my projector. I move along. Let me see at times. Then I can click Control, click on the speakers. Then I can look for any other one. I can move around. Then I can select my monitor. Then I can say insert. When I insert, they'll be brought to my work just like that. Let me just deselect them by clicking aside. Then after, I'll reduce their sizes just like this. Let me put this one here. Let me reduce this one also by holding the parameters. Then I put it there. Then I'll also hold my projector. Then I make it smaller. Then I'll be able to insert it there. So my slide 2 is also done. Let me come to my slide 3. So we need the processing hardwares. So we're going to also insert some of them. By coming to insert, then we come to a picture. We can look for them also by dragging a little bit down. So we select one, this one. We come down. We come down again. We select this one by pressing Control. Then Control again. I click onto this. So I select 3 of them. So we come and say Insert. Then we come and also put them into our work. I'll come and click aside to deselect them. I reduce one by one, just like this. This one is going to be here. Then I can bring this again. I can put it just reduce the size again, put it here. Then I can bring this one, also reduce the size and put it here. So those are some of the 3 images that are supposed to be under the processing, because this is the central processing unit. We can add lastly the storage devices. We come and say insert, then we come to picture, we look for storage. We look for storage, for example, we'll need a flash disk. We come down, scroll a little, let me see, scroll a little, we need the CD. We can also move a little, we need one more. We can also have let me see up whether we have another one. We can also take this one. After that, we click insert. So what I will do, I'll deselect by clicking aside, then I make them smaller, just like this. So this one is going to be down here. Let me make it a little bit smaller. So just like that, I'll also bring this one, put it here. Then I'll also bring my flash disk. I make it smaller. Then I'll also put it in the middle here. So I think we have added our images to the third slide. Let's finally add the images to the conclusion slide. So we can as well come here, we reduce this one a little bit by holding this one, then we put it aside, and we can put our images on this side. For example, we have a conclusion that talks about all of them, either input, output, storage, and processing, or any other. So we can decide to put any images of our choice. So I'll come back to the insert option, come to picture, and I'll look for some images here. I can look for, let's say, I'll put the speakers. Let me see, I'll come and say I need a camera. Then I would say move down a little. I can look for this printer. I can also look for a scanner. It depends on exactly what you really want to put there. Then I can do this. I'll say insert. Having inserted, I'll click aside to deselect them just like that. Then I'll move one by one. So I'll need this one here. Now I'll make this one to come down here. And I'll make this one very smaller. Then I'll put it up just like this. So I'll make this one a little bit small, just like this. I put it here, hold this one, put this one here. I think we are now good to go. So our presentation is now looking nice. We have one clip art, then we have just inserted these images because we downloaded them from internet to make our work look nice. So that is what they told us to do. We can come back here, then we read through the question. They're telling us that we are supposed to insert a summary tabular slide between the last slide and the second last slide with the following information. So we have to put this information in between the last slide and the second last slide. So we need to draw a table of how many columns? 1, 2, 3 columns. Then how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have that table. Let's come and insert that table. Remember, they have told us to put it between the last slide and the second last, which is this. So what I'm going to do is to click on the second last slide, then I'll come and say new, then I'll put a slide of my choice. For example, I'm going to put the title and content. And after inserting it there, it will also come with a header because we used this one as a slide master. So it will appear on all the slides that we need to use there. So now, what are we going to do? We're going to call this one. Let me make it a little bit small. I'll come and put it here. Then I'll say summary. I'll call it a summary table. I will call it a summary table. We can as well choose the style to make it uniform, just like that. So here we need a table, and I'm going to be drawing a table. So we are going to come into our slide here, then we select a table. Remember, you have to know the number of columns you want to use and the number of rows. And our question was saying that we had 3 columns and 6 rows. So let us look through again and see 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what we have. So we have 3 columns. So I'm going to put a 3 here. Then I'll put a 6 as row. So I'll have it just like that. I'm going to click OK. And having clicked OK, this is the table they have given us. But if you look at the table and it's not all that good for you, you can always come and modify the table depending on what you have in here, because we have the styles for the table also. So you can choose any table of your choice. And I'm going to use this one for my case. I can even bring it a little bit down here. Just like that, I push this one also closer down here. So that is it that I'm having. So let's put in the information. I'm just going to copy the information from my table. So we have number, we have device, then we have the hardware category. I'm going to put that. We have the number NO, then we have the device, then we have the hardware. Have the hardware category. Have the hardware category just like that. So we can make this one a little bit small because we have it in the question as something very small, so we can also maintain that. So let's put in some information here. We have number 1, then number 2, number 3, number 4, then lastly we have number 5. So what we have here, we can get this information, copy, we paste this information here, copy this information, paste it into our presentation. So here down we have a CPU. Then we copy something again. We have the hard disk. Copy this. We paste it below. Then lastly we have this information. We copy this one, speakers. Then as we paste it below here, Control V. Then we copy the last column. We have this one. Copy. We come and put it here. Copy this one, paste it into our work just like that, Control V. Then we come back to the processing, come and paste this one here, come and copy the second last storage, Control C, Control V again here. You copy this one again, peripherals, copy, then we come and click to our presentation and Control V. So that is what we have. And when we look at the last question down here, they're telling us that we should save the presentation. We should save the presentation, and finally we print our work. So that is what we have for this presentation. We can as well decide to put what we had already put there, because they told us to put animations there and the transitions, and we remember did it by applying to all, and the transition is already there. So we can even put animations here by coming to the option for animation. We say float in. Even the table can as well be given that. You can click on it, then we can say float in. So that is what we exactly had for our presentation, and the timing also actually we can also put the timing if we feel we want. So we also had the transition. It was given a period of 0.6 seconds. That is what we had for our presentation. So this is from slide 1. We had the categories of computer hardware. Actually, this one is all not that visible. We can highlight it and make some changes here. For example, when you come to home, you can make it bold. Then you can even give it a color as this. And if at all they also told you to put a footer into your work, that would also be very fine. You would come to the insert option here, then come to the header footer section, then come onto the option that says slide, then you come and select the footer. If they also told you the slide numbers, it would just be okay, you select it just here, and you can always say apply after. So let me put something here. Let's say, let me just call it computer guy. Computer guy. Let me say I put my number 07013341770. So after doing that, we can as well decide to even put the date if they also told us to include the date and even update automatically, just like that. We could say apply to all the slides and everything will come down just for you. So we have the header, we have some clip art, we have our titles presented by Henry the computer guy. Then slide 2, similar, we have our images, we have our presentation here, then we have this on slide 3, slide 4, then lastly we have this on our slide. So we can close now the clip art because we no longer need it and run our presentation and see how it can behave for us. So when we come here and having done all our presentation, we come and click onto a slideshow. Then we can come and say from the beginning. Then we give it time and see what it's going to be showing. So just like categories of computers, and they're going to be presented by Henry the computer guy. So that means that you'll be having this kind of information just like that, just like that. They will come just like that. And remember, we are not given these images animations, but that one is also possible. If you don't give any image and animation, it will always be displayed by default or before the other information that you had given appear. So also that is another slide. We give this, then we give this. We talk about this. Again, we come to another slide. That was the summary slide. We can also continue just like that. That you have and what the animation. For example, when I come here on the first slide, I can come and give this image an animation by clicking onto animation, and I can say float in or fly in. Then I can come to slide 2. I click onto this one, press Control, click onto this one, Control, this one. I select them at the same time, then I can give them my fly in or float in or any other that you feel you want. I will also do that for the case of the output. Click onto this, Control, click on this, Control, click onto this, then I can give them this. You come to this one, you come and select this one, press Control, select another one, you give it an animation. You come to this side, you come to this one, you come to this one, then you give them just like that. But this one is hiding this, so what we do is to make this one a little bit smaller. We push this one down. Then we come to this one, we can also give it an animation. Then lastly, we come to these images. Just click there, click onto this, pressing Control, click onto this and this. Then you can as well decide to give them an animation. So you can now play again and see how these images will appear. By coming to the option for the slideshow, then come and say from the beginning. Say this, you'll come and say this, you'll come and say this, then the image will come. Because we gave it that animation last, so it will come last. We come to this. This will come, you explain your input, you give the definition, you explain this, then finally we have the devices that we need to talk about. Then we come to another one just like that. So this is how you can as well be able to create your presentation with ease. Bye bye. I sign out.